Hello, I'm Christina. I'm back, and I am so happy to see everybody. Again, thank you all for being there for me in such a rough time, you know. But as I was saying in my last video, we're going to start picking up where we left off because right now they're trying to make a deal in Israel about getting the hostages back. But at the very beginning of this, when they first took the hostages, there was a lot that people didn't understand. There were protests and riots that were going on. But I did some research, and if y'all might remember my old buddy Adam, who was into all that, self-defense and homeland security and all that, I had a chat with him, and he helped me to understand the difference in the different situations when it comes to hostages and what you might expect. And when you add that to prophecy and the workings of what's coming here to America and what will come to the world, it really puts into perspective so that you don't have to guess or wonder as much. Hello, TNT, Tracy, Wendy, Charmaine, Clarissa, the Watchman, elect of the End Times channel. Hello, hello, hello. The Watchman. Yes, everybody's here. Whew. All right. All links are in the description box. FYI. All right. We're going to start with the definition of the word terrorist. It is someone who group attacks to cause economic hardship with religion tied to it. Religious ones do it as an excuse, more so with the ringleaders in power. They use religion as an excuse, as a trigger for the people. But the people that are committing these things onto what they call martyrdom, they do that from the heart, and the ringleaders in power know that, and that's the situation that we have. There is a degree of manipulation happening, and I've warned y'all before that you've got to watch your emotions, because they will try to control you through those emotions. They will try to kill you, as they say, with your love. That's when you have to start being very, very, very careful when you're feeling triggered. Okay. Now, the thing about these types of people is that they can renege on their deals, and most likely will. Most likely they will renege. They will promise you and then rip the rug right out from underneath you. With these groups, you don't know where everybody is. They are created that way. Hamas is in countries everywhere. Very few negotiations with these types of groups, because they have nothing to lose. They become glorified martyrs instead. And they do it from the heart. And you have to think about the man that has nothing to lose and is doing it from the heart. So rescues aren't done through negotiation, but through specialized rescue missions. It's different when exchanges are done between countries. If they negotiate and pay a terrorist, then the terrorists flex their power. If they don't pay them, then there are brutal attacks to incite fear. To cause fear is for power, and fear is why people do crazy things. People have a fear of feeling. They fear feeling fear. So they take all these pills. So to cause fear in people, groups of people, that's power and submission of a large group. And they know that. If negotiations fall through, they still win because it's public and it raises the fear factor. If Israel negotiates, then they lose face and look like the weaker party. In all probability, in these types of scenarios, they will kill the hostages anyway. So you punish them for taking the hostages. Take away funding from these groups and they will fall apart. Resources, loss of best players. We have to remember, though, in this time, a Bible verse that lets us know that all who come against Israel will be broken. A lot of you are probably familiar with that. With these groups, you may cut off one part of it, but it's like a starfish or a beast horn effect. Another one will pop up. More will pop up, more will grow. What ends a group is often internal fighting over position of who will take over. They will splinter into smaller factions and become a divided house, which is a weaker house, which is also what the United States has become, a divided, weaker house. Even the church is divided and we fight amongst ourselves. We are a weaker, divided house. So too will they also be, because they are not creative people. They are destructive people. They don't know how to put something together. They know how to tear it down. There's a giver and the taker. Speaking of a divided house, the talk of the two-state solution has really, really ramped up. And that's been since I did my last video that I told y'all. I said, I bet they're going to use this as an excuse, this is how this peace deal is going to happen. Nothing but talk since then. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Tracy. God bless you, sister. Thank you, Charmaine. Y'all are most amazing. Hello, Debbie. I said hello to you, Watchman. Hello again. Wow. Thank you. Hello, Bonnie. BJ. You're so awesome. Everybody, thank you so much. You're amazing. Thank you. I could always use the prayers, Debbie. Always, always. Y'all have been able to pray the last 2 migraines, grand mal seizures right off of me. And y'all are amazing people. So glad. I'm just so happy that y'all are in my life. Oh yes, the two-state solution, which happens to be what is sent me into this spiral, right? And in the meantime, while they're having all these talks about the two-state solution that must come after a ceasefire, it must come, they say. Iceland starts getting these large cracks opening, right? And Iceland's plates are connected to the North American plates of all things, which means that if Iceland's plates are shifting, it's going to affect the American plates, right? Everything should kind of move around, shift a little bit. And that's exactly that's the kind of stuff I've been waiting on. It's not just Iceland opening up. No. I checked some things out, right? There's this volcano map. And it tells us that Iceland's volcano is, first of all, by far not the only volcano erupting right now. We've been having volcanoes erupt, subsea and on land. We have volcanoes getting ready to erupt, volcanoes that are erupting. But get this. Oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. Okay, I don't know how many of y'all listen to Mike from around the world, but he has been mentioning lately that there's this huge rift in the Atlantic, right? And we already know that there's a South Atlantic anomaly. So I was thinking, maybe it's down there, right? Well, this map, it has this image of a volcano called Sao Jorge Volcano, Azores Islands of Portugal, but it's in the middle of the Atlantic. You click on it and it says fissure vents, fissure vents, unrest. That's what it says. Fissure, that's like a tear, a rip. And then there's one next to it called Terceira volcano, right next to it in the Atlantic, just several miles west of Portugal, but it's in the Atlantic. It also says unrest. Caldera, lava domes, stratovolcano. So, in Iceland's not too far north of these two volcanoes. It's not. Think about that. And where these volcanoes are situated, it looks like it's on a major fault line. A major fault line. So if that's where the rifts are, that means that the South Atlantic anomaly in the south, it's not safe on the northern hemisphere in the Atlantic either. That whatever began in the south, it's affecting completely from Iceland down. That means that it will absolutely affect us. Everything is just lining right up, okay? And then going back to Israel, right? So they've got this thing going on where they're near a hostage arrangement. Like they get the hostages back and there's a temporary ceasefire. It's not a total ceasefire, not the big one yet, but everybody is talking about, well, when this ceasefire happens, there needs to be a two-state solution. So much so that even though Netanyahu has been against it, they're talking about ways to take him out of office. And sometimes I get a really creepy vibe from some of these comments, like what exactly are they, how far are they willing to go is what I'm sitting here wondering to get him. But I do know that they are pressuring, and they were going to the whole time. Now, the Gulf of Mexico disaster, I always believed that was a precursor to the New Madrid going. And I found evidence that the Gulf of Mexico is responsible for the earthquakes on the New Madrid. They originate from the Gulf, not the other way around. I always saw this as a precursor to the deal signing, as a warning not to do it. But I always felt like they were going to sign it no matter what. They were going to do this because now they're like a pit bull with a bone. And when a pit bull locks that jaw, there's no unlocking it. You cannot get whatever is in this dog's mouth out. And there is a hook in those people's jaws that God put there. So I can warn them. But, it seems like it's going to be one of those Pharaoh moments with Moses, like when he hardened the Pharaoh's heart. The warning was there, but they did it anyway. And I always get that feel. And the problem with that is this disaster comes without a warning. This one it's hard for me to say exactly when. All I can do is say, hey, if you know anybody trying to move to the Gulf Coast, close to it, or if you know anybody that lives there, at least mention that it's not safe for them there. That's how you can help me. If you know people, if you hear people saying, oh, I want to move there, say, no, that's really not a great idea right now. There's a lot of danger in that water right now. There's crustal thinning, there's magnetic anomalies, there are subsea volcanic issues going on, like with Door Point near Louisiana, which is just south of the Mississippi River, where the New Madrid lines up, right? Hello, Jennifer Chamberlain. It looks like all of the Atlantic is having problems. And then, what's past that, the Arctic and the Antarctic, right? And those are melting. And they were melting all along from underneath. The magma that I've been warning about is getting really bad. I'm telling you, we have a river and magma that goes south into Dallas and splits and goes to West Texas, and the other part of it goes through Brownsville, through the bottom tip of it. You see the volcanoes, not volcanoes, the earthquakes that Texas has been having, more and bigger and stronger ones in certain areas, such as the west side of Texas, which is a transvolcanic region. Yes, it has oil there, but how do you think that oil got there? Because there's pressure and heat, volcanoes, stuff, you know? But it is a transvolcanic region. And some of that other magma river passes at least to the east side of San Antonio, where you've been seeing even more eruptions. Not eruptions, gosh, earthquakes. And they're becoming more and more. They've been having reports of strange gases coming out of the ground for a few years now. The smells on the east side of San Antonio. So it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Yes, there is saltwater intrusion in Louisiana right now. And if you remember, just a few years ago, Galveston's water was turning clear blue, which I got right on. I was like, look, y'all, this is not a good sign, because those salt domes underneath us, that means there was some kind of water intrusion. There was some kind of failure that happened that allowed that water in. And I've seen saltwater problems, water issues like that as far up the San Jacinto River around Kingwood, Texas. That's miles away from the coast. The sinkholes that have been forming between Galveston all the way to Florida for, I mean, seriously, the last 8-9 years been getting really bad. So something's going on. They know there's crustal thinning. And it was like almost as soon as I started coming off with my visions and searching that science, it was like the reporting on the Gulf of Mexico just went silent. But I could catch little things ever so often, like these earthquake lights that was over Houston, I think a year ago, right? They just saw these lights and they didn't know what they were because they'd never seen them before. A lot of things, y'all. A lot of things. Hello, P for Plenty, Jennifer, Big Mama, Jesus loves you, and Kathleen, Sister Kathleen, love you too, sister. Love all you guys. All right, making sure I'm keeping up with everyone. All right, now, one thing that they mentioned with Iceland was when the lava hitting the water, it causes fatal gas. There's concerns about that, right? Well, I wonder, when you have a subsea volcano that is big enough and it erupts in the water, it could send a wind with those gases along whatever coastline island is around them. You know what I mean? Like with the one on land in Iceland, they can see for themselves to get out of the way. But when it comes to these subsea major volcanoes, there really is no warning. Really, there's not. Okay, yeah, Lapid is calling for the replacement. Netanyahu, he's the prime minister of Israel. They want him out of the way. But now we need to move on to people at risk for apostasy. And these are people that you consider brethren in the church. Okay? Once saved, always saved. They are at risk. They won't necessarily fall, but they are at risk because they didn't prepare themselves for hard times. And when you're under stress and you're not prepared, it can cause weaknesses during your time of temptation. It's a risk, not a guarantee, just a risk. If you are the type of person who got participation awards growing up for doing nothing, you might be at risk for apostasy. If you are used to instant gratification, movies, microwaves, instant rewards, video games, you might be at risk because you don't have what it takes, the longevity to make it through the storm. because you expect things to happen quickly. You don't wait on the Lord like you should. All right. Those with a strong sense of entitlement will be at risk for apostasy. The children of Judas, those are the ones that will take money and turn you in to authorities who are seeking Christians. And we know that in the Bible, it tells us that brother will be against brother, that family will actually give you up. They will. Now, when it comes to this, because we are you would think, okay, what does this have to do with hostages? Everything. Because they're going to be testing your faith. Do you understand me? They're not just here because they hate the United States or anybody. This is a spiritual, this is a holy war. So the question eventually comes up, if you end up in their presence, do you believe? And considering if you have any of these predisposed weaknesses, you might have a harder time. Yep, it's true. I know it's hard to hear. There was a movie I watched recently called Silence, and it was the saddest freaking movie ever, because it talked about just this. Okay, it was a priest. He was sent to an Asian country. I don't know if it was China, Korea, I don't know, but it was one of those Asian countries. And he was there to find a priest that had been sent there 20 years ago. And word had gotten back that he had apostate. He'd gone apostate. He had recanted his faith in Jesus and Christianity, and was now, I think they were doing the Buddha thing. But this priest, he didn't know if he could believe that or not. So he went, him and another priest, they went to this country to go on a long journey to find this priest. And the entire time, these two priests are being bombarded with believers that if these priests don't recant their faith in Jesus, that all these believers will die. And they say, it's because of you. You could save their lives if you just step on this picture of Jesus and spit on this cross. It's just a formality. That's all it is. And then you can go away. Well, it eventually even turned into helping the non-believers. These non-believers could be saved. And in some cases, they even showed them killing them anyway. They reneged on their deal. They just wanted to hear. They just wanted you to step on that picture. They finally find the priest that had been missing for 20 years. And in fact, he had gone apostate. And he reasoned in his mind that God and Jesus couldn't possibly be mad at them because they saved other people's lives. That's how they reasoned it. But it showed that when they recanted, that they both cried. It showed that afterwards, one of the priests admitted he didn't feel anything anymore for the people. He even helped to discover Christians that were trying to come in. He had to help to identify them. And he convinced himself that was okay. When the truth is, if you deny me before man, I will deny you before my Father. And Jesus was tested too. Satan said, I will give you all these things. And that's what these people were saying. These kings even, they were saying to these priests, I will give you wives. I will give you land. I will give you all the money. You will never hurt, not a day in your life, if you just recant your belief in Jesus. Don't think it'll be any different. They use torture on these people too. Yep. All right, so Matthew 10:32-39 says, "Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loseth his life for my sake shall find it." Genesis 3:4. And the serpent said unto the woman, "He shall not surely die." And that is what they were saying to the priest. Surely God will see your sacrifice and you won't be condemned. Surely you won't die. Now, you have to remember that this is not the first time in history that we as Christians have gone through this. In fact, sometimes there's been madness among Christians where Christians persecuted other Christians, even killed the prophets because they called them witches. Now, I mean, some people were witches, yes, but the Bible doesn't mention slain prophets by the church. If you didn't make a mistake somewhere, you feared what you didn't understand, right? So if a Christian can do that in his own house, can you imagine a non-believer? A non-believer like Nero Caesar or Hitler or the people that tortured and killed the Templars. Christians became an easy target. Nero wasted no time. He arrested and tortured all the Christians in Rome before executing them with lavish publicity. Some were crucified, some were thrown to wild animals, and others were burned alive as living torches. And that's why we had to have this conversation. Because if you get caught, if you become a hostage, you need to understand the nature of the people that have you, the nature of prophecy, and the nature of the government and its ways of negotiating versus rescue missions when it comes to certain groups versus country to country. You need to know certain things, and you also need to know certain survival skills. Zip ties are one of the major things they like to use to secure you. Do you have any idea how many ways there are, how many videos there are to get out of that? Second, they like duct tape. There are so many videos to get out of duct tape. Watch them. Watch them. And third thing, do you have any idea how many videos there are that show you how to take a weapon out of somebody's hands? Do you? I tell you what, those are critical survival skills you might want to practice. I have a toy Nerf, shooter thingy. It's just a gun. It's plastic. Toy. It's a toy. That's it. Might scare a cat flying by, a little Nerf dillies, but it's something that we can use that is safe among family members in our spare time. Some might shoot hoops. We can practice some things. I could see one of, my kids, what's it called? Zip tying my hands and see if I can get out of it. Family time. But I think it'd be important. And it can come in handy in so many ways. They got crazy people get waxing worse and worse every day. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm telling you, it could be fun. It'd be like I'll go to my kids and I'll be like, okay, duct tape me to this chair. Let's see if I can get out of it. They'll be like, okay, one will get the duct tape and the other will get the camera and a stopwatch probably, but it'll be fun if you make it fun. Right. It'll be some, it is better than video games. It's good stuff. It's good stuff, It's good stuff. But of course, you only practice with people you trust. You don't practice with real weapons. It has to, use something, other than a weapon to practice with, taking it from each other, obviously, just something that's a toy. Anyway, this is the times that we are in. And what they're looking for next is, yeah, they're doing a temporary ceasefire, but it's going to lube the wheels to get to the eventual ceasefire. How long that takes, I don't know. You're going to have to be vigilant in watching how close those talks are getting. If you have any family on the coast, the southern coast, I'm telling you, any friends, if they don't know, this is what it means for, I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. I've got you out there too. Just watch. Okay? It's going to come at an unexpected time. If I'm expecting it, it's one of those things. If you're expecting it, I risk crying wolf or something, So we're all just going to have to use our best instincts, our best, just try our best. All right. Let's go through some of these comments real quick. Yeah. Yes, Charmaine, we really are that's what being separated means. We have no choice. This was prophecy all along. When we were first taught, it just seemed like it didn't connect, because it seemed like just something that would happen in the future, just good against bad, people that don't know each other. I don't think it really hit home to most Christians being taught this, that no, this would be people you love, people you grew up with, people that raised you, that changed your diapers. Those people, not just some people. It hurts. It hurts, but we know we can't stay here. We know we have a calling. We have a home we have to go home to. And time is getting shorter every minute. Anything can pop up anytime, any disaster. And it's not just the Gulf Coast. It's every coast in the world, really. It's just that I was given visions about this one. This was what was put on me, was the Gulf Coast. And that's why I'm always watching for that. That's my mission. That's my nook right now. All right. I just want to thank every one of you for every amount of love that you've given me. I will never take that for granted. That was life-changing for me. All right. I've missed you all so much. I would have come back sooner, but the headache, it just won't go away. I'm trying everything. I'm on my emergency meds. My eyes feel like they're just so puffy. But, sun will come out. All right. And I am back. We're going to do this. We're going to go until we can't go anymore. Right. I love y'all. I really do. God bless each and every one of you. And have a good Thanksgiving. I hope I'll be back on before, but if not, happy Thanksgiving. I hope that this year that you're more thankful for than ever for everything that God has blessed you with, even each other. All right? All right. Love you. Bye.